All right. And here we are. Welcome back to the stream. It's Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I think everything's running a few minutes behind. Not a big deal. Abdallah, my friend in the chat, how are you? Good to see you again. I am looking forward to getting. We have a list. We have a list of things to work on today. Let me show you the list. I felt like I was talking way too much yesterday, so I'm not sure that's why people are here to hear me talk. I think you're here to see me code. So we're gonna, I made a list to keep us focused. I don't know if we're gonna get through this list, but lists are good. I like lists because they help me get things checked off. I like the satisfaction I get from checking things off the list. So first and foremost, we need to finish styling the blog layout. We need to style the individual blog items. We need to style the categories to a serif font, which I was planning to just use Times New Roman. We need to style the read more links for clarity. We need to pick a more accessible accent color because this, I was looking at this yesterday after the stream. This accent color does not even meet the AA standard for accessibility. So we could do that, which is AA, and we could do this, which is AAA. And honestly, I'm fine with the AAA. It's kind of close to black though. Let's refresh. I mean, technically we would be okay with the AA standard. Yeah, I think I'll go with AA. I think I'm also going to put a 2-pixel border around these buttons. This is a 1-pixel border. I don't know. We'll see how it looks. But basically, here's some styling. Just do some checking of margins and padding. I am going to style the load more button, but I'm undecided on whether or not I'm going to keep the load more button because I think the responsiveness of this layout is going to be very finicky since this layout depends so much on us controlling the height of the container, which I don't like, but it's the only way to get this layout to work. So, and I'm also building this for myself. Let me see here. Do we have, yeah. Why do we have so many errors in the console? Oh, they're errors we don't care about. Okay. I like this layout. I do not like that it depends on a fixed height for the container. I'm building this for myself as a portfolio page, and I already know that I'm not going to have more than 6 pieces of content in here anyways. So I'm going to skip the load more button, I guess, for now and not worry about it. Yeah, so that's a bummer. I don't know. That could change, but for now, I'll style it, but I'm probably not going to keep it. We need to style the footer. We need to create a search drawer for the search and the mobile menu. I don't know if we're going to get to that today. I'm trying to keep the stream to about an hour and a half today. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it to about an hour and a half today. So I want to dial in on as much of the styling of everything else as possible. But we'll see how it goes. We might do some mobile responsiveness. We should definitely start to get a sense of how we're doing accessibility wise, and then just refactoring the code as needed. Yeah, so let's get started with just some basic styling and making this page look Nice. That's what I want to do. I am also going to put my name up here because we need an H1 on the page. So where are we here? We need an H1 on the page. Here's our blog. We'll probably need main. Yeah, so that's not what I wanted. Was really looking forward to working on this again today. I had a lot of fun on the stream yesterday. It was the longest I had done a stream, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So it's fun to do this with you guys. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all who are tuning in and watching and chatting. Also, it's a beautiful day today and I have the windows open. It's very windy. Today out on the street outside where I live has been kind of a influencers in the wild moment, which, you know, I appreciate the wanting to film yourself for TikTok and create content. Obviously, they were a little noisy. They're gone now, so we'll see how things go. But if it gets noisy, I'm just going to close the windows. I am obviously not going to scold anybody for filming in a public place. God bless you for finding a quiet place to do it. It's a little noisy sometimes. That's all. So we'll just take it as it comes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I want to get my name. I want to get an H1 up here above. So we have, there's our header. Okay, here we go. I'm thinking we can just stick an H1 here. Shift things a little here. Okay. And do I have a primary header in here? No. Oh, I thought I at least had a primary. I guess not. That's fine. So let's just get a primary in here. I don't know what I want it to be yet. Let's just see how it looks. H1s by default are usually bold and they have a ton of margin. So let's just say font weight, I'm going to say font weight 400 and margin 0, just as a baseline, and we'll see how things look. Oh, and I'm actually going to do 300. Oh, go away. And I think we want to make sure this is text align center. H1s are block level elements by default, I think. Pretty sure that's right. Oh, I guess not. Wait a second. H1s aren't block level. MDN H1. Headings aren't block level. Yeah, by default, all heading elements create a block level box in the layout, starting on a new line and taking up the full width available in their containing block. All right, so why aren't you? Oh, probably because it's in the inner wrap, which is being controlled with Flexbox. I'm sure that's it. And it's a line items flex start. That's probably why. Okay, so I think we just have to give it a width of 100. Can you try to add a box shadow property for every button? I think it will be cool. Yes, I will show you. So I'm not convinced it will be cool with this type of button, but I will show you how I do a box shadow for a button, and we'll decide how that looks. But what I was actually thinking is that we should do a box shadow for each of these containers. Oh, and I don't have my Photoshop file up. Let me pull this up. I will make sure that we have some sort of box shadow, because I do think that when you have a design that's kind of a card like this, it does look nice. So we can definitely do that. I think each of these cards having a little box shadow would look nice. I think if these buttons were solid, we also would have to transition the shadow. So, and I don't know if I've ever transitioned to, yeah, I've transitioned to shadow before. It would give it the appearance of being lifted off the page. We'll try it and we'll see how it looks. We will try it. Okay, text align center. So let's do flex 0, 0, 100. Oh, where are we here? There we go. And yeah, that does need a little margin. And we also need to adjust this blog container. So right now, we'll go back to 5. And we'll give this a margin of, let's give it 2 rems on the top and bottom. There. Oh, you know what? Let's not give it any on the top. Yeah, there, that looks good. And then our blog container, just our section, is going to need a little margin. Where are we blog? Right here. So let's give this a little margin of 2 rems on the top. That's probably, yeah, perfect. Already looking better. Okay, let's change our color for accessibility. I'm going to go with the AA because I think AAA is just a little too dark. So this line represents what would be acceptable for AAA. I think it's too dark. I think it's too close to the black, and it would be almost pointless. So I'm just going to go with this. Yeah, I like that. And then let's make that border 2 pixels. What is this? The button sort. I do like it a little bit better. I think I want this H1 to be a little bigger. Where are we here? Okay, I don't think we need to. The font size by default is probably, what is the font size by default? 2 M's. Okay, let's change it to 3 rems. Yeah, I like that a lot better. And I think let's reduce a little bit of this margin. Let's see here. Oh, you meant for cards anyways. Good. Okay, good. Listen, for the record, I was willing to try. I was willing to try, but I'm glad to hear that we're on the same page. I feel like this animation is a little off, like the color transitions before the text, but I maybe shouldn't worry about that. But I do like a thicker border. I think that looks good. Okay. Let's get these cards whipped into shape, and then we can style some of the content inside. So these are grid item right here. So what we really need to do is, what I think we're going to have to do is put this item copy around the header, the category, and these paragraphs. Because I need to put padding around this and make it distinct from the figure tag. So let's see if we can do all of these at once. And then item copy. Do it right here. Put some padding. I'm just going to put in 1 rem for now. And then we want the background color to be white. Yeah. Oh, and we're going to have to change our height. Yeah, the height. It's pretty annoying that we have to. Should we just make this 100? Yeah, that added, I'm guessing there's margin on this read more also. All right, let's take out this button. Oh, yeah. I did add a class to that. That's why. Okay, that's why I was thinking of that. So this section, oh, come on. I'm going to give it a lot of room. Okay. I'm really annoyed by how difficult it is to do masonry natively. Okay, let's add a little box shadow to these cards. So we want to put it over the entire grid item. I wonder if our margin is going to get in the way. Oh, the gap. We probably don't need that margin. I want to increase this gap, and we'll have to change this. Okay. mean, it's definitely... Does it not matter what the width is? Yeah, I think it matters because it's flowing outside the container, but it doesn't look even, does it? Hang on. So my gap is 1.5, which goes all the way around. You know what? This probably falls under the category. Oh, that's why there's room on the side. Why didn't the flex flow work? Or the flex? I know this is getting into the territory of things that I shouldn't spend too much time worrying about. The space on the far right. Why is that space there? Because if I change this to flex 0, 0, calc, am I imagining that? Yeah, see, that didn't work yesterday. Okay, let's look at gap. Hi Bailey, how are you? Happy to have you here. Thank you for joining. Abdallah and Bailey, I love you guys. Appreciate you. We are just trying to figure out gap. and the math is not mathing for me. So I'm just gonna, here's another tip for, to add to your list of, I guess, soft skills, which is, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, be comfortable reading documentation. So the gap CSS shorthand property sets the gaps, also called gutters, between rows and columns. This property applies to multi-column, flex, and grid containers. So we can do a column gap and a row gap. Okay. The project is, well, we just got started. Well, I guess it's been about a half an hour. We just got started and I'm already hung up on like basic CSS. So the math isn't mathing. I'm trying to use gap instead of margin, and I'm not understanding exactly why it looks the way it does. Just the math is not mathing here. So okay, so the percentage gap values, we're not doing a percentage. In multi-column containers, the first value defines the gap between columns. A dividing line can be added to the otherwise empty space by using the column rule style property or column rule shorthand. With flex containers, whether the first value is the gap between flex items or between flex lines depends on the direction. Flex items are laid out in either rows or columns depending on the value of the flex direction property, and we're doing columns. For rows, row the default or row reverse. The first value defines the gap between flex lines, and the second value defines the gap between items within each line. For columns, the first value defines the gap between the flex items within a flex line. The second value defines the gaps between each flex line. Okay. This just feels like too much for me today. So I'm not going to worry about it. The math doesn't math the way I would like it to. I think that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that perfect is the enemy of done, and that's an okay attitude to have. So let's just continue styling, and maybe this week I'll do a little bit of experimenting and figure out what the issue is here. So let's add a little bit of box shadow. Actually, let's see how things are looking inside. Okay, so we have a lot of margin on this H2. So let's get the margin off the top of our secondary header. Margin, we'll just say margin top 0. I would also like this font weight to be, come on, font weight, let's do 300. Oh, maybe 400. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to give our text a little bit of letter spacing. I don't want to make the text smaller than it is. It won't be accessible. Oh, that's a bit much. Let's try. But sometimes a little bit of letter spacing can really help things look a lot better. Yeah, I like that. That looks a lot better. And then let's start, oh, this got a lot of margin beneath it. And I think actually it does need a little bit of margin on top. So let's do this. We'll say margin 0.5 on the top, none on the sides, and 0.75 on the bottom. Yeah, that looks a little better. And let's style our item categories. Item image, item copy. We want the font family to be Times New Roman. And we want the font style to be italic. And I think we are going to want the color to be like slightly lighter. Like, let's just try something and we'll see if it's accessible. Okay, definitely not accessible. I think we still have way too much margin here. We're gonna have to play with the margins a little bit. The margins and the padding. It's super roomy. Let's see what we can do. All right, perfect. Let's do it. Let's see here. Let's try this. We'll cut it in half. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And I think we're gonna need a little more padding on these items. Ooh, but not on the top. Not on the top and bottom, just on the sides. Yeah. What do we think? I love it. All right, let's style our read more. So what does our mockup look like? All caps. We're also, our markup or mockup is also showing only 3 lines of text. We can definitely do that too, and that would cut down on how tall these are. Let's do that. That's really easy to do. So here's our item copy. I don't have a class on the first paragraph, but we can just take this paragraph as a first of child, and we can, let's do that. Let's do, so we're in the item copy, we'll do P. I guess just first child. And we can say so we could do like height 100 pixels, overflow, hidden. That's actually pretty good. Let's give it a little bit more room. So there's where we start to see the next line. So we'll give it 110, and I think this would make it still accessible if a screen reader came through and read that. First child. Let me see here. item copy P first child. First of type? Oh, first of type. There we go. Oh yeah, that makes it a lot cozier. I like that a lot better. And I want to cut down on the margin underneath this secondary header. You're back. We missed you. Let's see here. We don't need both of these. We can do shorthand. All right. So let's confirm with ChatGPT that if text is overflow hidden, it can still be read by a screen reader. If I hide text with overflow hidden, is it still read by a screen reader? Yes. The content remains in the DOM and can be read by assistive technologies. If you want to hide text from both sighted users and screen readers, you can use a more specific method such as ARIA hidden true or CSS like visibility or just got it. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and yeah, this is looking really good. I am liking this. You know what I'm thinking about doing? Okay, one thing at a time, Angela. One thing at a time. Let's add our box shadow. Let's add our box shadow to these items. So what I like to do, the box shadows that I generally add are very subtle. I don't go crazy, but if you do it right, it can look really, really nice. It looks like, it just gives it like a little hint of depth, like it's like a sheet of paper just laying on a flat surface. It's a really cool effect. So where are we here? These are grid item. So we'll say box shadow. There's 4 values, so it's x-axis, y-axis, blur, spread. So we'll just start with like 2 pixels for the x and y axis. Then we'll do 2 pixels of blur and 2 pixels of spread. And then we'll put in a color. I usually use black, and then we'll do the alpha channel, which is like, I start with 0.25%. So it's an opacity of 0.25, oh wait a second, percent for the color black. And we can see it a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, hang on. .25. 0.0025. Hang on. That is too much. Can we just do, there we go. I think we have way too much spread here. Like that. That's the effect that I like. Yeah, just it looks so subtle, like it's just literally looks like a sheet of paper is lying on a surface. It's very subtle, and I think it looks really, it's a nice effect. So thank you, Abdallah, for recommending that. All right, let's get those values in there. So we have 1% or 1110. 1, 1, 1, 0, and 10%. There we go. What do we think? I love it. Let's see if we can get some better pictures to load. There we go. Yeah. Okay, let's get our links styled. So our links are, it would really be, we're just going to do the A. We don't need to put, so let's do item copy, and we'll just put in, so we'll say text, transform, uppercase, color, teal. And sometimes I leave the underlines. Yeah, you know what else we could do is we could put in, we could put in like an SVG. See, what I don't like about these underlines sometimes is that they're really close. So sometimes I do a border instead, but they need to be display inline block so I can give them a little padding. Let's do it. We'll say text decoration, none. And then we'll say display inline block. Let's say border. 1 pixel, solid, teal. And we want to be able to give it a little bit of padding on the bottom. So maybe 5 pixels. Oh, hang on, what happened? Border, bottom. Oh, and we need an actual value. Oh, too much padding. Too much padding. Well, maybe we don't need any padding because of the line height. And let's bump that up to 2 pixels. Text underline offset. Hang on. Text underline. Look at that. Wow. You guys are amazing. Okay, yes, we're doing this. Thank you. I love it. So let's take this out. We don't need to do display inline block then. And text underline. Look at that. So what did we say? Let's try 5 pixels. I love it. Bailey, thank you. You guys are amazing. So now we have, what do we think? I love it. I think it looks awesome. Let's get it back down to a normal size here. Yeah, I'm super stoked with this. I do want to figure out why my grid looks weird. But here's the thing. Perfect is the enemy of done. It is your website, your app, your blog, your whatever it is that you're building should always be a work in progress. It should be something that you're always working on, you're always improving. Don't ever let the things that annoy you or that don't work quite right, or if the math doesn't math, stop you from deploying something. Get it deployed. I promise you that the people you show it to are never going to know the things that annoy you anyways. So just work on it. Just work on it. Just improve it. Make it work over time. I'm not going to let this stop me from getting this thing deployed. I'll figure out the spacing. I'll try to figure out, I'm sure that my flex values aren't working because I'm doing columns and I just don't know why. So I'll figure it out when I have time. And for now, I just think this looks amazing. My website is so old. It's like 10 years old. I'm not even going to show it to you because it's embarrassingly old. And part of the other reason why I wanted to do this YouTube channel is because I needed an excuse to sit and just practice and start building out these mock-ups and like create something new for myself. So I'm at the point now where I'm finally like, okay, pick something that you can build for yourself. And this is something I want to build for myself. And I want to make a new website for myself. So I'm so happy with this. I love it. And you guys are a part of it, and I appreciate you so much for being here. So, okay, back to it. Yes, there is always time to come back and tinker, and you should just always have the attitude anyways that it is something that you're going to tinker on. Excuse me, my allergies. I have to blow my nose. So anyways, thank you guys for being here. If you're comfortable saying in the chat where you're from, I would love to know where you're from, roughly, if you're comfortable saying like a city or a state, because I'm just curious to know. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. I don't know if I have said that anytime recently. And I live with my dog, Heidi. It's just me and Heidi. So, yeah, we're happy to have you. I feel you on that one. Mine is not the definition of professional. You know what, though? Here's the thing. My website, when I was freelancing, I haven't freelanced. I do have some freelance clients, but obviously I have a full-time job. Oh, Abdullah, you're in Egypt. That is so cool. Thank you so much for finding me and joining us. I haven't freelanced in ages, but my website back in the day, like, 10 years ago, people hired me specifically because they liked my aesthetic and they liked my design sense. Even though I don't really call myself a designer, I do feel like I'm a front-end developer who has an eye for design. So it's an important part of being a developer because it really does speak to who you are and what your design sense is. And even though I think a lot of developers are like, I'm not a designer, don't call me a designer, employers are going to want to see that you have an eye for design, that you have a sense for design. It's just a really important part of being a front-end developer and taking on tasks that are a little bit more open-ended and not fully defined, which is also an important part of doing this job, that you are able to be creative, be a creative problem solver, especially with another organization's brand, and be able to implement things. So Abdallah's from Egypt. Bailey is from New Jersey, but currently lives on the West Coast in Arizona. I hope you're loving that. I am from Minnesota. have spent almost my entire life in Minnesota, but for 2 years I did live in San Diego. So I love that part of the country. I think it is so beautiful. I have friends in Arizona, so I've been to Phoenix a few times, and I do happen to have a client, a very long-term client, who is in Phoenix as well. So I know that that's a beautiful part of the country. You have lots of dry heat. And in Minnesota, in the winter, in January and February, I usually wish I was in Arizona. So, all right, what's the next thing? Angela, you're talking too much. See, for weeks, like literally 8 or 9 weeks, I don't think anybody's really been watching. So it's very novel to have people actually watching and talking to me. So I have to find this balance between actually working and talking at the same time. Okay, so let's go ahead and style our footer. I'll go ahead and close those. So let's go ahead and style our footer. Oh, and let's check some things off the list. So we finished this, we finished this, this. We'll come back to margins and padding. I'm going to check this off because we decided not to keep it. Check accessibility to ensure accessibility. So let's just see how this looks if we were to tab through. So let's go back up to the top. I'm going to refresh the page. And then if I'm tabbing, we can see that we're hitting all of our, where did our, yeah, that's good. And then we come down into the container and we hit each of our links. So accessibility wise, I'm happy with what we have so far. We don't actually have drawers yet. So, and Abdallah is very kind and reminds me to stay focused. So Bailey says you have mixed feelings, but you love the fall and winter, so that is definitely lacking over. Yes. That's just a sign of commitment and passion paying off. We are here because you keep going. Thank you. I thought about doing this YouTube channel for such a long time, and I'm so glad that I decided to start doing it. So all right, let's jump into this footer. So I gave this a class of primary header. So I'm going to take that out for the footer. And once I get it styled, we'll figure out another. Once we get the footer styled, we'll figure out another way to do that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So let's get this navigation. Well, wait a second. So we have our inner wrap, so it's already spacing things for us. Let's get this social nav tidied up. Social nav. And I'm going to say padding 0, margin 0, and list style type none. And then I generally make those list items. I mean, my habit is to do display inline block. We could also put flexbox on those. Let's just do display inline block because it's easy. Yeah. And let's look at our mockup. Oh, yeah, we didn't want to space those out. So we can take off the inner wrap. I don't think we have to have that on there. So we just need to make sure, do we want to just say, yeah, that works. And then our background color can be black, and our color can be white. And then let's give it some padding. This has a lot of padding, so let's do like, well, we should use rems to be consistent. So if we have 50 divided by 16, that's 3.125. 3.125 rems. Trying to be more consistent. I think it needs more. I think it needs like double. Let's just try 5 on the top and bottom. Well, we want something on the sides for mobile. Yeah, that works. So we've got, we'll give this a class of just title. So we've got 3 block level elements, 2 divs, and a nav. Let's make sure these all have at least one consistent title. So we'll just say footer item. Footer item. And then we can do we'll give it some margin on the bottom of 1 rem. Give this all right, and then let's make our title a little bigger. We can do this. Font size 2 rems. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that looks good. I think I'm going to keep the spacing a little more consistent, but I do like having the copyright be a little bit darker. I think that looks good. It needs a lot more space. And then let's give these a lot more margin. So 0 on the top and bottom, and let's give it 1 to start on each side. Ooh, we need a lot more than that. Let's try 2. And then we'll make this color white, and then what was that other, hang on. Text underline offset. Offset, we'll do 5 pixels. And we'll do a text transform to make it a little bigger. Love it. And then let's make our copyright. The color, I'm just going to start with this, and we'll check and see. Oh yeah, that's pretty light. Let's check and see like what the darkest is that we can get away with. No contrast information available. Oh, hang on. I bet that it wants me to put that color here. We can do this temporarily. Really? How come you're not giving me contrast information? Even with a defined background color. Okay, let's just do a contrast checker. So if the background is 222, 222, and we make this yeah, I mean, it's not as dark. It's not as dark as the mock-up, but it needs to be accessible. So I'm okay with that, and I'm going to give that a lot more margin. Yeah, I'll give this more margin on the top. Yeah, that's just going to bump into each other. Yeah, we can do that. I'll change this. I'm going to give this 4 on the top, 0 on the sides. 0 on the bottom? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That works. And I'm going to put 2024 in here, even though I'm not going to write any JavaScript until next weekend. Yeah. Why are you doing that? Okay, we'll deal with that next weekend. Here, let's just take out all the periods. It's a footer. I don't care about punctuation. Perfect. Okay. Wow. This is going really fast. I love it. And I'm fine with this extra room down here because we definitely want this to be it's okay for it to have some breathing room, I think. Where are we at on time? 1 hour and 10 minutes. Okay. We have 20 minutes. I want to remove, well, let's look at our list. So we checked accessibility. We styled the footer. I still think that there's a little too much margin underneath this title. It just doesn't seem right to me. Oh, secondary header. What did I do wrong here? I did not put any values. That's not quite right either. Let's try half of rem instead. All right, I'll do 0.75. I'm not sure. Doesn't seem quite right. But maybe it's fine. Yeah, I like this. I like it. Let's see if we can make this body responsive without too much fuss. Okay, so first of all, we definitely need some padding on the grid. Where's our grid? Right here. So we'll do padding. I'm going to say 0 and then 1 rem on the left and right. All right. And then, so 1024 is like iPad landscape. I usually break things into mobile at 960. But I think that's too late. I think it needs to break into mobile at 1024. This is just a little too squishy. So let's break this into 2 columns with a breakpoint of 1024 pixels. So right here. So we'll say at media, max width, 1024 pixels. And except this will be 50%. Whoops. We just need to make sure that we have enough height for all of our items. Anything else? So I'm going to say a height of 155 rems. So our height is up here. At media, max width, 1024 pixels, height, what do we say, 155. Yeah. And then let's break this into just a single column at, we'll do 600. So at 600, we can just take the height off. Let's go hide auto. And then we'll just do with auto. Yeah, that works. Oh, we are going to need a little bit of margin on the bottom. Let's see here. We'll do 2 rems of margin on the top and the bottom when we're down at the smallest screen size. Yeah. Perfect. And yeah, we're gonna have to decide what to do with these buttons for mobile also. I didn't think of that until just now. I mean, maybe they could just wrap. Is that a good mobile experience? They'll need a little more room. Just a little bit of margin all the way around. That's too much. I will have to think about that. Yeah, it's going to need a little more attention to detail on mobile. I think the most important part is making sure, oh yeah, everything needs more attention on mobile. Really, I just wanted to make sure this grid looked okay going down to mobile. So I'm good with this for today. Yeah. So that means that, so our plan for next weekend is going to be to, the plan for next weekend is going to be to do the search and the pop-out navigation and finishing mobile and making sure it's accessible. So I think we can do those 4 things on Saturday next weekend. That's my plan. And then on Sunday next weekend, we will write JavaScript so we have event listeners, like click event listeners to open and close the search, open and close the mobile, the drawers, and then filter filter these cards, filter the JavaScript. So Bailey, let me show you. The first project that we did was a similar layout. It was called Soho. It was another mock-up that I had. So I'll show you the search drawer that we did. We're going to borrow a little bit. So this is the search drawer that we did in the very first project. And then I'll show you the navigation. This was our navigation. So we'll do something very similar to this. In fact, I'm probably going to go right to the GitHub repository for this, and we're going to borrow heavily from that because there is no reason to reinvent those wheels. If you've got code that you know will work and just needs a few styles, that is perfectly okay. So yeah, I love doing this type of animation. And what is so great about this, if you keep an eye here on the DOM, is that you can do everything with CSS. Or at least that's how I do it. So I have the CSS do everything, and then I just do click events to add like active. Here, we can see here. You can see here to add and remove active classes. That is, in my opinion, some of the best ways to handle some of this functionality is to do as much with CSS as you can and then use JavaScript click events to add and remove classes, because CSS can do so much of the heavy lifting. So, and these types of animations are really easy. So when we add, we'll do the search, for example. So when we add this, we add an active class to the body. That's to prevent scrolling. We add an active class to the button, which is how we know the button is clicked because it has the active class. Then we add the active class to the search drawer. And really, we're just doing right. So here's where it's right 0 or right negative 100%. So if I click this, now we go back to right negative 100%, which really just takes it off screen. And the reason we do it this way is now this is all still accessible. So if somebody with a screen reader comes and lands on this page and is going through and reading this page, even though it's not visible on the screen, it's still accessible. The search input and everything are still getting focus, even if it's not visible on the page. So it's still accessible. But of course, if we refresh here, we can still come in and use our keyboard. Ooh, it's going through all of the navigation, isn't it? Yes. Gosh darn it. Yeah, that's going to need more work, isn't it? Oh, navigation, you're the bane of my existence. But you get the idea. You get the idea. So that needs, why didn't I check that on mobile? That's annoying. But here on desktop, you can see also. So this is still accessible. It's not an ideal mobile experience though, is it? Because if they come in and land on this page, they should be able to tab past directly to the search, but it's tabbing inside the navigation. Yeah, I missed that when we built that. Okay, well, hopefully you get my point. So we'll keep that, we'll keep that in mind for next weekend, that if you land on one of those buttons, that it doesn't trap the focus inside that container if it hasn't actually been opened. So I'm gonna have to do a little research on that. So you know what? It's a process. It's an evolving process that never stops. So, yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. I had so much fun. I think it's amazing that anybody joins this stream, because I guess I'm so new at doing this. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the suggestions. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate it so much. I hope to see you again next weekend. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye.